Have you ever read a book and you got to the end and there was this huge character change that didn't make any sense? That is what I'm going to talk about today, so that you can avoid that in your own writing. Welcome to How to Write Good. I am your host, Daniel Poppy. You can find out more about me at danielpoppy.com. If it is your first time here, How to Write Good is a writing podcast that seeks to find principles and advice that can be applied across a broad range of writing situations. If you've been here before, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button below, and share. Have you ever learned something? And I don't mean something in school. I mean something foundational to who you are. Have you ever really learned something that changed how you thought, that changed how you functioned in the world, that changed the outcome of your life? If you have, I'd like you to answer a quick question. Did that happen overnight? Did something just spring into your mind and your life was completely changed? Even if the first answer that jumps into your mind is yes, if you look back in your life, you probably see steps that brought you to the point of understanding that thing or changing your life completely. What I'm saying is that real change rarely, if ever, happens overnight. It almost always happens over a prolonged period of pressure pushing in the direction of the change. And it always happens for a reason. Maybe I harp on it too much, but I believe that everything in a story should make logical sense within the world of the story. That is why if you listen to my episodes about writing, it often goes back to specific rules you place on the world or the character or the setting you're writing at that time. It is important to have these rules, or we may call them limitations, because without these limitations, the story isn't interesting. For example, even Superman has kryptonite. If there was no kryptonite, there'd be no stakes in any of his stories, and we'd all fall asleep fairly quickly. Good character development takes in this understanding of limitations and logical processes. When a person changes in real life, it doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen for no reason. The same holds true for characters. We cannot have characters change in an instant, and we cannot have characters change for no reason. We have to, what I call, earn our character development. After you write a story, and you look back to your story and you see your character change has fallen flat, it is probably because you didn't take the time to walk your character through the logical steps to that specific change. Most of the time when I run into this issue, which is often with my own writing, it is because I'm too impatient. In these instances, I haven't taken the time to flesh out how the character is developing in that specific scene fully. And every time I run into an instance such as this, I know I need to go back, and I need to take my time making sure I nudge the character in the direction I need that specific character to go. This means that I need to work inside who that character is and push them in that direction and make them make small decisions until larger decisions make sense. If you want to understand what I mean by working inside the limitations of that character, check out my other episodes on how I approach characters. Maybe another example will help you understand the process I'm trying to convey. Do you have a friend who is extremely stubborn? What would you have to do to shift that friend from being stubborn to listening to people? This shift in the person's mind might take years and might take tons of effort, but it also might just take a particular event that opens the person's eyes immediately. This profound but logical change actually takes place in the children's book Green Eggs and Ham. We have a very stubborn character who tells Sam that he will not eat green eggs and ham, and throughout the entire book, He says he will not eat green eggs and ham. And what brings that character to the point of eating green eggs and ham is being so aggravated by the character of Sam that he decides he will eat green eggs and ham. And because his dislike of green eggs and ham is only based on his own stubbornness, when he eats the green eggs and ham, he realizes they are delicious and changes his mind in that instant. Now, in the case of green eggs and ham, the catalyst for the character change was the constant pestering of the character of Sam. And then that change happened within an instant. Character change can happen in an instant, but it doesn't always have to. In the case of the television show Breaking Bad, the main character of Walter White takes slow steps toward becoming a monster. The filmmakers decided they wanted to take a mild-mannered, timid science teacher, and they decided that instead of making the science teacher jump into evil, they would make him take slow, tiny steps in that direction. As you read more stories, you can look at different ways for how to develop characters, but right now you could start with these two. You could have a catalyst that changes a character completely, such as in Green Eggs and Ham, or you can write out the tiny little steps that take your original character and change it into another character completely. The best advice I can give at the moment on how you would do this is to just write out the different steps that bring a character from the initial characterization to that character's final characterization. And make sure those steps make logical sense from one to another. If those steps do not make logical sense, consider going back to the original characterization and taking it from another route, or you might need to add a few more steps in between the ones you already have. If you have any other tips on characterization, if you're watching this in video format, I'd love to hear your comments below. Or if you're listening to this as a podcast, hit me up on social media. If you enjoyed this, you're probably wondering how you can support me. Well, you can actually do two simple things. Follow the first link below to grab a copy of my book, and then follow the second link and sign up for my newsletter. It's that simple. Those two things will mean the world to me and give me more time to write books and create content for you. As always, my name is Daniel Poppy, and this is How to Write Good.